Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpadam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavat Vyaptadehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Sadashivasamarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Virjam Karavavahai Tejasvi Navadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So today we thought we will recall the life of Pujya Swamiji, Swami Dayananda Ji, as he is popularly called by students as Pujya Swamiji. So you may wonder what Pujya is. Pujya means one who is worthy of worship. That person is called Pujya. And so in our culture, all the devotees of a particular Swami, Guru, he or she, they worship Swamiji, the head of an ashram perhaps. So that is very common. And so they have different names. Each ashram calls them their Swami by different names. And so here we call him Pujya Swami Dayananda Saraswati Ji. And we address him as Swamiji. And when we talk to him directly, we call him as Swamiji. And then when we refer to him in the third person, we say Pujya Swamiji. So he was born in his Purvashrama in 1930, and then he gained Samadhi in 2015. So he was 85 when he gained Samadhi. And he studied, he was a Vaidika, from a Vedic family in Tamil Nadu. And then he got a job, etc. Then he joined the army for a little while. And then he heard Swami Chinmayananda Ji, and he studied under Swami Chinmayananda Ji, and then Swami Pranavananda Ji, and one more Swamiji, whose name I'm not getting right now. And then afterwards, he used to teach at Chinmaya Mission in Mumbai, Sandipani, and Swami Tarananda Ji, correct, Swapna says, and Tarananda Ji in Rishikesh, Pranavananda Ji in Gudivada in Andhra Pradesh, and Chinmayananda Ji in Mumbai. And so he used to basically be the resident teacher of Sandipani Gurukulam in Mumbai. And then, so whenever Swami Chinmayananda Ji used to travel, Swamiji was teaching. Then there was a time when Swamiji was to take over Chinmaya Mission as the head. And then something happened, and Swamiji decided that he will, teach on his own. Then he started teaching on his own. And so when you ask scholars, when you ask Vedanta Pandits, when you ask the greatest Swamis of our time, and what's unique about Chinmayanandaji and Dayanandaji, they will say they took Advaita Vedanta to the public, to the masses. Advaita Vedanta used to be in ashrams. You had to go to Kailash ashram in Himalayas. You had to go to Kanchi Matham. You had to go to Sringeri Matham. You had to go to Govardhana Pitha in Puri, Orissa. And you had to go to all these mathas that are there. Well, maybe 100 plus mathas where they are teaching. And we don't even know where these maths are. I never knew. Kanchi Math I knew was in Kanchipur. That's about it. Sringeri was there somewhere in Karnataka. Okay. And this is how we used to, because our studies was like that. So secular teaching in our schools. So we completely lost track of who's who. And so that kind of a teaching was made available to the public for the first time. And in English, in a language that the so-called educated people were aware of. And so that's how they became known to us, and that's how Advaita Vedanta became known to the rest of the people of India. Okay. And so talking about Advaita Vedanta, of course, now you know you've been studying Bhagavad Gita for at least a year and a half or more, and it's one of the most profound subject matters. And because it is a subject, no doubt, because it is something to be understood. Okay. And so that's the beauty about it. But then it is about the self, a self that is not yet known, a self about which we have a lot of conclusions. And Shastram says all those conclusions about myself are wrong. Whatever I say, I am, fill up the blanks. When you fill up the blanks, then we will know that how confused we are. And if we take that to be real, I'm engineer, I'm father, I'm mother, that may be okay. There are all some titles, some roles we play. But then I am a mortal. That is the greatest conclusion of all, and commonest conclusion, and all agreed upon conclusion. And Shastram says you're not a mortal. So this has to be either the most foolish statement, or it has to be a most profound statement. It has to be one of the two, correct? It has to be one of the two. If you have Shraddha in the Shastram, you will say, yeah, we've heard this before. Atma Avinashi, Atma Purnaha. I need to know more about it. If you are an atheist and if you are not connected with the Vedas, etc., then we begin to say things that generally nobody says about the Vedas. Okay. So therefore, the subject matter being so profound, we need the teachers of Advaita Vedanta have, if they want to make an impact, if they really want to teach, they have to be careful. They have to employ certain techniques. They have to understand the uniqueness of this problem. They can't assume things. They have to first remove a lot of misconceptions. First, set the stage up. Why are we studying this? What is Vedanta? What is Bhagavad Gita? So if you recall, we spent 2 months, 3 months even just doing an introduction. We did not even start the first verse. And so there are some students thought we will finish Bhagavad Gita in 6 months. Well, we did not start Bhagavad Gita in 6 months. It took us 6 months to start Bhagavad Gita. And look at how it's going. So we are really enjoying it. Subject matter is over. You are not going to hear anything new in the Bhagavad Gita in this from till the 18th chapter. But slowly it has to be built up. And so Swamiji was one of the few people who did that. He was the one who wrote this Bhagavad Gita home study. When he was in Chinmaya mission, he proposed the 3-year course, 3.5-year course, and he started teaching that. There was no such course before, and anywhere in any ashram. And then it evolved into all these courses and camps and things like that. And so, aparam chet praptavyam param chet jnatavyam. You may want to write this down. Very beautiful statement. If there is something in this world that you want to get, it is limited in time and space. It is called aparam. Anything I want in this life is aparam. Aparam means limited. I might want to be the CEO of the largest company in the world, limited. I might want to be the president of India, president of America. Okay, good. There's nothing wrong with that. Have ambitions. Ambitions are good, but limited comes into the category of aparam. Okay, all this is aparam. And you know the joke where God God said, God was so pleased with we should give good examples, right? And these names we have to adjust. Bill Gates is one person who comes to mind, and you should bring Trump here. So Trump and Bill Gates passed away, so they went to heaven, and God was waiting for them, and he told Trump, Don, you are one of the most impressive presidents I've seen, and you changed the whole thing. You just mixed up everything, and you made people think a lot. So what do you believe in? And Donald Trump said, I believe that America has lost its state, world stage. We need to regain the world stage. How can the world's greatest country lose like this? We got to get back our pride. So I had to mix things up, shake things up. And God said, my God, this is amazing. And in one term, you could do all these things. At least you made people think. Come, sit right next to me. And then ex-president and George Bush was there. George Bush also was there. So George Bush, what do you believe in? And George Bush said, the world is not working properly. There are too many anti-democratic forces and too many countries which are dictatorships. It's our responsibility to change all that. That's why I went everywhere. And then war here, war there. And God was so impressed. And he said, George, come sit right next to me, my right. Okay. Then Bill Gates is waiting. And Bill Gates also is a great man. And he says, Bill, we've heard a lot about you. How can we forget you? What do you believe in? And Bill Gates says, I believe that, hey God, you're sitting on my chair. Okay. So this is Bill Gates' response. Okay. So correct. So this is the idea. So finished. CEO is over. Bill Gates, CEO, and you can't give him another CEO post, and say you become the CEO of this company. It is a foolish thing to offer to Bill Gates. And so he's doing all these big things and investing in companies that are making vaccines and so forth. So he's doing things that you and I cannot imagine. And so he needs a bigger position. You want a position, aparam. God position, seat, aparam. Heaven, man, heaven, going to heaven and sitting on God's chair, that is also aparam. Shastram says aparam. Why? Because that seat makes you secure. As long as you think you need security by sitting on a seat, aparam. Artha, it comes under the category called artha. It is not in the category called moksha. Correct? Aparam. Now, aparam chet praptavya. If anything you want is aparam, you have to gain it. You have to work for it and gain it. You don't have that position now, you have to get that position. I don't have it now, I want it. I am not happy now, I want to be happy. So all artha, kama, dharma, all these things, they're all aparam. Aparam chet praptavyam. Param chet, if it is param, if what you're seeking is the whole, is infinite, then what? Then there is only one possibility, Shastram says, and it means you are not going to become the whole, you are already the whole, you are already complete, and therefore, param chet jnatavyam. Jnatavyam. You have to understand that you are the whole. That is the only possibility. There is no way the finite entity is going to become infinite. Correct? This is like a breath of fresh air. And this is absolutely amazing for people who are thinking people who are thought through life, and they don't need to be told that somehow some place is going to make me secure, somehow heaven is going to make me secure. Therefore, this being the subject matter of Advaita Vedanta, and Swamiji was one of the greatest expounders of this teaching in public. In public, Swamiji would talk. He's a pakka, Tamilian from the heart of Tanjavur and the Kaveri belt, and but you will rarely see him. He'll speak in Tamil, in private, and but rarely gives public talks in Tamil. And somehow he's chosen to do that. He's given talks. I've heard his talks in Tamil also, but he's mostly because of his busy schedule after a long time. He was mostly talking only in English public talks. So he took Vedanta to us. If today I'm talking to you and you're listening to others about Vedanta in English, it's attributed to Swami Chinmayanandaji and Dayananda. And recently, Professor Ramasubramaniam spoke just a few days ago, and he mentioned it also. Ramasubramaniam, professor at IIT Bombay, is not a student of Swami Dayananda. Okay. And so for him to say that, so I'm having to quote him because it's more authentic coming from somebody who's not a direct student of Swami. And so he makes that statement, which is correct. Now, so Puja Swamiji is very well known for what I call demolishing notions. Demolishing notions. Because param chet jnatavyam. Now everybody is thinking I have to start doing pranayama now. I have to start doing meditation, and I'm going to get a great experience. And this is the approach everybody is having. Now what do you have to offer, oh Swamiji? And this ashram is offering that. That ashram is offering that. That Guruji is offering that. What is your patented? What did you patent? You please tell. Nothing to patent. Swamiji calls himself a traditional teacher of Vedanta. And what is there to patent here? And so when I first heard him, and I've told this to you before, and in that 1996, in that camp, Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, he made statement that I've never heard before. He said something. He said this statement: Hindus don't just believe in God. Hindus know God. He said that. And I was attentively listening in that camp from it's a 6-day, 7-day camp. And this statement, never heard this before. And so this piqued my interest a lot. And what is the meaning of that? What is the meaning of that statement? Hindus believe in God, no doubt. Without belief in God, we are not a Hindu. And every religion, they have a God and they believe in God, no doubt. But then, this belief in God, all the people who say they believe in God, for them, the idea of moksha is going to heaven. Correct? Nothing wrong with that. Vedanta is not opposed to going to heaven. Somebody asks you, what will you say? Vedanta is not opposed to going to heaven. Vaikuntha is there, Kailasa is there, let it be. Good. Let the people in heaven be happy. That is what we will pray. Okay. And so let the people, what about people in hell? Okay, if hell is there, let it be there. And if they can be happy, let them be happy. That's our prayer also. Okay, we can pray, why not? And because all prayers are effective. And so, but aparam chet praptavyam. And whatever you get, what is not said in that is, once you get something, that something may go away from you also. Okay, aparam chet. If you say, yes, I got it, then what happens? Land grabbing is going on in many parts. And Tamil Nadu is very famous for that. Don't think you got some real estate, you got papers and all that. Someday they will come and say, no, sir, this paper, this property is supposed to belong to scheduled caste. Recently, I heard somebody. And this whole property area cannot be, this paper is not correct. They'll say that. And what you thought you owned, you don't own it anymore after that. So all these things happen. And of course, health and all that, we don't have to talk about. And today, good health, tomorrow, something else is, some part is wanting our attention. So, aparam chet praptavyam, aparam chet, then you don't know. After getting praptva, prapya, then we may even lose it. Tyagaha eva bhavati. Can be given up also. Health will be gone, everything will be gone. So that is a problem with this praptavya, anything that you get. And so here, Hindus believe in God is good. Hindus know God is absolutely amazing. It just breaks the ceiling and then it begins to ask questions. Okay, tell me more. What is this God? This who is God? What is God? What is my relationship with God? And what is my relationship with the world? How did God create the world? And how come everything is Brahma? This whole study just takes one into a new world altogether. And that is what Swamiji means when he says Hindus know God. Okay. Hindus know God doesn't mean I went to Vaikuntha, said hello to Vishnu, and then I said Vishnu sent me on a mission back to Earth. Earth is suffering a lot. So they need people like you. You go back again, and I'll give you another 50 years, 60 years, and then come back. No, not that kind of knowing God. And then another famous statement from Swamiji. All books say Hinduism is polytheistic, Christianity is monotheistic, Islam is monotheistic, and any other religions you talk about is monotheistic. And what about Hinduism? Very unique religion. It is polytheistic because it has many gods. Hindus believe in many gods. Then Swamiji has to come and say, no, Hindus don't have, there are not many gods. Oh, there must be one God then. Not many gods means one God. Because many gods means they'll start fighting with each other. So we don't want many gods. It has to be one God. One leader only is good for a country. There can't be two presidents for a country. There can't be two prime ministers for a country. Like that. We don't want many gods. There is one God. No. There are not many gods. There is not one God. Then what? There is not one God means what? There is only God. There is only God. And so this is not new to Swamis, it is not new. For people, Vedantis, it is not new. Even for those who are not Vedantis, it's not new. But Swamiji made that statement and in the public, and it became like a challenge for all of us who are studying. It's a challenge, right? We have to understand the statement. And so Sarvam Kalvidam Brahma, and that only God can be worshipped in any form. There are many forms. Somebody said, what is it? 6 crore forms in Advaita Sahasranama, right? Shatakoti. So you can create your own form and worship, no problem. Forms are many, but the substance is only one, and that is Brahma. And then another statement. So through Swamiji's statements, I want us to review our what we've studied. Experience is dumb. Underline that statement. Experience is dumb. He said it in many classes, many different occasions. He said it. Okay. What is this? This is a very, very strange statement. And experience is dumb. Everybody wants to have a good experience. Nobody wants a bad experience. Nobody wants an unpleasant experience. Yeah, that is fine. Everybody wants a pleasant experience, is good. But experience is dumb means experience cannot teach you unless you want to learn from the experience. Experience cannot teach you unless you want to learn from the experience. Correct? Experience is jadam. So much experience is there. The experience of the earth revolving around the sun day after day after day. Or rather, the other way around. Sun revolving around the earth. Right? The entire humanity has experienced this. Correct? And when religion should not get into this business, they come and say Earth is in the center. And religions have no business about scientists analyzing this whole thing and saying, no, no, sun is in the center. Really speaking, Earth is the one that's moving, not the sun. And the religion comes into it in between. No. And so, what do you talk about this experience? For ages, this experience is there. Nobody knows the Satyam, correct? Experience is dumb means experience cannot teach you unless somebody comes and says, wait a minute, who is moving? Is the sun really rotating around us, revolving around us? Somebody had to ask the question. And so, therefore, what it means is you've got to use your mind. Experience is always available to us. You've got to make something out of that experience. Correct? You have to decide what are you going to conclude. Experience is a starting point for knowledge, but experience can be counter to what you know. Correct? The sun is not moving, yet sun seems to be moving. Science has to come and say why that is so. Okay, we take it for granted because we've all been studying and all that, and for us it's basic thing, but it was not basic. It was not basic at all. And so therefore experience is dumb. Therefore, how does it apply to us? Well, you want great experiences. Well, whatever you experience is an object, something you experience. You saw a painting by a child and you said, my goodness, this is a painting by a 3-year-old child. Wow, this is, I've not seen something like this before. You experience something, and you experience an object, you experience a small baby, you experience a painting, you experience the stars, and then you feel good. It's an experience. And those are all okay. Don't put Vedanta, don't put moksha in the category of experience. Okay. And moksha is not an experience. Why? Because we are talking about that Atma which is there in every experience. Atma is always there. There is no experience possible without Atma. Without Brahma, no experience is possible. We are talking about the nature of that Atma. And therefore, you can't say, I'm going to get an experience and therefore I got moksha. That's exactly the experience I'm waiting for. And there also, did you gain the experience? Yes, I gained the experience. That means it is in the category of praptavyam. That means it is aparam. Aparam chet praptavyam. Did you get experience or not? Yes. Previously, did you have that experience? No. Okay, that means you just got your experience. Okay. That means that experience also will go away. Be prepared, it will go away. That is why a lot Swamiji will make fun of a lot of the so-called yoga people. Yoga people. Because that's how it is. And I also have had, now after Swamiji, I also decided, you know what? I decided to make friends with a lot of yoga people. I used to attend a yoga class in the US. And then so I got a lot of friends. And then the teacher also made me teach yoga when she was absent. And she used to ask me, Jaykumar, can you teach in a Sunday's class? And I said, okay, if you think I can do it, I will be happy to do it. So I did all that. And so I had all these friends. Few of them joined, 3 of them joined this Sanskrit class that I was teaching. And then one of them was very good in Sanskrit. He wanted to learn Sanskrit. He's studying Patanjali Yoga Sutras and all that. And this is the time, it was just about 4 or 5 years since I started studying Vedanta, and clarity was improving. And then after some time, this man stopped calling me. He stopped returning my calls. He stopped attending my class. And then I concluded this dialogues that we used to have when we were going to the yoga class, or when we were coming back from the yoga class, that must have put him off. That must have scared him. That must have said, not scared him. That must have told him, this Jaykumar is a gone case. He is a crackpot. Better stay away from him. Correct? Yeah, and fair enough. That's good. I mean, Why spoil your life by associating with people that you think are crackpots? So that validated my own Swamiji's, what I heard of Swamiji talking about these experience hunters. And this statement, these are the kind of statements that, and he would say, experience is dumb. And therefore he would say these yoga people are trying to eliminate thoughts from their head. Samadhi, Nirvikalpa Samadhi means elimination of all thoughts from the head. And they have confused themselves. They think it is an end. Elimination of thoughts is an end. That is why these yoga people are all stressed out quite a lot of time. Don't think they are all free from anxiety and stress. They are stressed out. Why? Because they are good at eliminating thoughts, but the thoughts are coming back. Elimination of thought is a state. State is praptavyam, and praptavyam means aparam. Aparam means not param. That means whatever state you achieve, you are going to lose that state. Again, you have to achieve the state. Again, you have to lose the state. Nirvikalpa Samadhi is a good exercise. Please don't get me wrong. Very important. I'm not, this is, we're all thankful for Patanjali. Patanjali just systematized the whole process. Absolutely amazing. He's a rishi for us. He is not confused, but we have taken a part of the message of Patanjali. That is what Swamiji used to say. And so, therefore they say, don't do Shirshasana. And to get Nirvikalpa Samadhi, the fellow is ignorant. He doesn't know anything. And what happens if an ignorant person does Shirshasana? Can he become knowledgeable? Can he become wise? No, he'll be clear-headed, and he did good asanas and good pranayama and good kriyas, and his clear-headed is there. Clear-headed. Okay. Clear-headed does not mean, knowledge is there. The person continues to be ignorant. And so we want right thinking, is what he says. He says you don't want no thinking, you want right thinking. Some of you may agree with me on these things, those who have heard Swami, correct? Right thinking. And so that is why even, great people like the founders of SVyasa. SVyasa is the institute where our Narayanji, Miraji and all have studied, are still doing PhD and so forth. And Swami Vivekananda Yoga Anusandhana Samstha. So Sri Nagendraji and Dr. Nagendra, who is a Padma Shri and who was the director of the Vivekananda Memorial Project at one time, and then he was the vice chancellor of SVyasa, who is now a chancellor, I think. And even such people have studied under Swamiji, despite, because for a Swami to make a statement like this, then those who are primarily teaching Patanjali Yoga Sutras, they have to understand it. And so that's the kind of impact which Swamiji had. He never minced words. And when he had to say something, he would say it. And this idea of experience hunting, whenever he gets an opportunity, he will demolish the notion. Any experience you are seeking is anityam, is aparam. And so it does not mean you should not seek an experience. You should not have a pleasant day. Who wants to sit in sweltering heat? And surely we want to keep the place somewhat cool. But moksha is not to be put in the category of experience. Okay, I hope I'm making myself clear. And and so in 2008, when I attended a camp, and I was so humbled that this Dr. Nagendra's brother, Dr. Venkatram, was there in that camp. It's a 3-month camp that I attended, and so we were actually, we became good friends in the camp. And I think I heard recently that he passed away. Is that correct? I think Narayanji can confirm that. Yeah, Satishji is saying he passed away, right? He got a stroke some years ago, and then he was recovering, I think, but then now he's no more. So, and in that camp, I requested Swamiji that we should conduct a Sambhashana Sanskritam camp, sub-camp, a camp in a camp. And 3 months were there. And so once a week or twice a week or thrice a week, whatever, we can have a camp, small half an hour or 1 hour session. And there are other people also, fortunately, the manager of the ashram and his family, and they all were already good in Sanskritam and in Sambhashanam, in speaking. And so we decided we'll ask Swami. They said, Jayakumar, you ask Swami. And so I became the guinea pig. And when I asked Swamiji, Swamiji did not respond at all. I asked him in satsang. He said, he looked at me and then he just nodded his head. Swamiji, I mean, he's very clear. He will say things. I kept quiet. Okay, we will see, he said. Then a couple of days later in class, and we were studying, he was teaching a book called Vedanta Sara, written by a Swami called Swami Dayananda Saraswati, Vedanta Sara. Nice book, which gives an overview of Vedanta, what Vedanta is, etc. And so suddenly, some context came up, and he said, I think there were some verses, and the verses had the word bhyam in it. Bhyam, parampara bhyam, and ananta samsara samudratara. So there is namo namah Shri Guru Paduka bhyam. And suddenly he gets up and he says, beautiful, bhyam. We don't want bhyam free Sanskrit. He made the statement. And you know who he's talking to? I'm sitting there in the audience. That statement was meant for me. Because Samskrita Bharati, when they teach, it's all ekavachanam, singular, and singular is Ramaha and Ramena, and Bahuvachanam. Bahuvachanam is Ramaihi. This Trivachanam, dual gender, not gender, dual number is Ramabhyam. So we don't introduce Ramabhyam and all that in the initial classes. It'll take some time before we come to dual, right? All Sanskrit students understand that. And Swami said this statement. Essentially, he's saying, don't talk about Samskrita Bharati, etc. in front of me. That is what he's telling. And it was like a slap on my face. And I said, oh my God. Then afterwards, I approached Swami. I said, Swamiji, it's not like that. Samskrita Bharati has done a great job of introducing Sanskritam to lay people and making it more approachable. And initially it is Bhyam free, I agree, Swamiji, but later on it is complete Spurnam Sanskritam only. Like that, I had this dialogue with him. And then, so we had a conversation there like that. And so he will not mince words. He will say what is to be said. And so that's one of the highlights of Swamiji. And of course, you know very well, he will never use words like bliss, because bliss means what? Suppose the word bliss is used. Which category does it come? Aparam or param? Huh? It's an experience, blissful experience, they say, which means it is aparam. Bliss is not an ordinary experience. No, you don't understand, Jayakumarji. It's not an ordinary experience. It's an extraordinary experience. It's just an experience you can't explain. That kind of experience is bliss. Fine, is it an experience or not? That is all I'm asking. I'm not negating what you're saying. You're correct. There is a blissful experience that you will get in meditation. This all I agree with everything you say. Is it an experience? Yes, it is an experience. Does it come sometime? Yes, it will come sometime. Okay, good. That means it is in the category of aparam. It is not param. Therefore, these words you will not find in Swamiji's talks. Bliss. And then God is a supreme being. This word supreme we will never use. Because these words, what happens? They make us imagine things. Correct? Bliss, if I say, well, what will you think? Oh, there is some experience, and you will start imagining. And supreme means you have to now imagine high level. We are all at low level, but this Swami is at a very high level. And God means just too much air. It's just amazing. Okay, that is how we think level. We put the Swamiji will not use the word level. The word level will not be there in his classes. You can't hear level. You have to reach another level. You have to transcend yourself. You have to transcend your raga dveshas. Even though we have to have a say over raga dveshas, you have to tayoho vashamna agachet. We know that. You have to, but he won't use the word transcend because transcendental meditation is there. This word transcend is used by many swamis to give everybody some feeling. Oh, I am doing meditation and I am transcending myself. This transcending business is not there. Who is to transcend whom? Hey, Atma is there. The whole world is Atma. Then who is there to transcend? Nothing is there to transcend. And so he keeps belaboring on that whenever he gets a chance. And so these kinds of things Swami is known for, very much known for. And then another unique thing, never he would allow anybody to sing a praise of himself, of Swamiji. Never. And so if you go to any ashram, there they'll have bhajans where the bhajans will be written in praise of that Swamiji, he or she. Correct? And that is always there. Our Swamiji would never allow that. You just cut out the whole thing. This is his message is this. The message of the Shastram is cannot be less important than the messenger. Let me put it differently. The messenger cannot be more important than the message. He will make sure. He does not say the statement, but through his actions and teachings, he has demonstrated that. I think Vaidya and others are there and they can validate these things. Later on, I want you also to talk. And so this message is so important. That is why somebody says Shankaraism. Hey, Shankaraism and all is not there. Do you understand what he says? He's talking what the Shastra is talking about. There is no ism in it. There is the minute you put ism in it, then the person becomes important. And Shankara himself did not give prominence to himself. What are you talking about? And so he never. So only after Puja Swamiji's Samadhi, Swami Paramarthanandaji wrote this Dayananda Panchakam. Some of you will know that. We do chant that Panchakam every day in our classes. But only then, Sadasme Ravaktram Kripa Purna Netram. So there, his life history is, and what he is known for is said in that Panchakam, beautifully written by Swami Paramarthanandaji. Someday we will look at that Panchakam. And so with that, this Swamiji's contributions to Vedanta, I wanted to say. And besides that, he's of course been a proponent, been somebody who is clear about this agenda of missionaries, agenda of Abrahamic religions, of eliminating Hinduism. He was one of the probably only one Swami. Other Swamis probably were talking in their circles, but he was the one who went public with that. And he would say things like Hinduism is in danger. And in 1999, okay, November 7th to 9th, Pope John Paul II visited New Delhi. Okay. And then Swamiji was, aware of this problem very much, and he used to periodically talk about it. And he was very concerned because essentially it's Christianity against Hindus. Hindus may not know, are not aware of it, but that's what it is. And so when the Pope is visiting India, the Pope issued a statement. Even before his arrival, they issue a statement. This so-called Synod of Bishops, the meeting of Asia was being conducted. And so the statement was issued. And in the statement, what it says is, they're clear that they have to evangelize the world. And he comes to, and so based on that statement, Swamiji wrote a letter. Swamiji wrote a letter to the Pope, open letter to the Pope before Pope arrived India. Okay, it was published in the Hindu or something like that. And in that letter, it's an open letter, and that letter, he had said many things. I want to read a few statements to you so you can see what was said. In the recent past, you had mentioned that reason should be respected. On the basis of reason, however, no non-verifiable belief is going to fare any better than any other non-verifiable belief. Non-verifiable belief means what? Well, my God is there in heaven and my heaven, and nobody can prove all these things. That is what is called a non-verifiable belief. Therefore, according to reason, there is no basis for conversion in matters of faith. Okay, then apart from reason, there is another important issue which I request you to consider. Among the world's religious traditions, there are those who convert and those who do not. The non-converting religious traditions like the Hindu, Jewish, and Zoroastrian give others the freedom to practice their religion, whether those people agree with the other people's tenets, beliefs or not. They do not wish to convert others. I would characterize these religions as non-aggressive. Religions that are committed by their theologies to convert, on the other hand, are necessarily aggressive, since conversion implies a conscious intrusion into the religious life of a person, in fact, into the religious person itself. Okay? This is a very deep intrusion. The religious person is violated. The depth of this hurt is attested by the fact that when a religious sentiment is violated, it can produce a martyr. People connected to a converted person are deeply hurt. Even the converted person will suffer a hurt underneath. So I am hurt by religious conversion, and many others like me are hurt. Millions are hurt. There are many issues to be discussed regarding conversion, but I want to draw your attention to the only central issue here, which is one-sided violence. Religious conversion is violence, and it breeds violence. Okay, it is you are converting a non-violent person to become violent. That is what he said. And then he says, anybody who protests against religious conversion is immediately branded as persecution of minority. Okay, and so he talks a little bit about that, and then he appeals to the Pope, and then the Pope comes to India in Delhi, and you know what he says? He has a message. He says, during the first millennium, this statement I remember, I don't have to read it. In the first millennium, we brought Christ to Europe. In the second millennium, we brought Christ to Americas and Africa. It is the third millennium now, and we have to bring the gospel of the Christ to Asia. A large harvest is waiting to be reaped. Okay, etc. Dot dot dot. Okay, and so this is what he said. And so now you understand that this is a global thing, and this idea is this has been going on for, of course, centuries. But Swami used to say Hinduism is in danger. He used to make that statement. Hinduism is in danger, and he was the one who inaugurated the book written by Rajiv Malhotra. The name of the book is Breaking India, and it talks about various forces. It talks about communalist forces, communism, talks about this conversion, and he talks about one more threat to India. And he released that book in Chennai. And so Puji Swamiji was never afraid of talking about these issues, which many Swamis either know it and don't talk about it, or outright deny the existence of the problem. Correct? And so that was one of his uniqueness. And so he used to make in the early 2000s, late 2000, he used to say, Hindu vote is sacred. Hindu vote is sacred. Don't waste your vote. First of all, vote. Second, don't waste your vote. Understand who you're voting for. And whether it is people living abroad or in India, that message was he had given the message, and there were many organizations that took the message and as part of their campaigns. And so and so this this statement, conversion is violence. So that was the title of a talk that he had given in Chennai in July 1990. Lost the internet there for a second. So I was saying that talk, it's a talk that's available on YouTube. Conversion is violence. And if you do that, you will find that talk. And so many Hindu leaders of India and the world derived a lot of inspiration from Swamiji, because not only was he one of the best teachers of Vedanta, but he was also uh, outspoken about these issues which have been concerning Hindu leaders and Hindus for a long time. And so I used to see, and many visitors used to come, and Raju Malhotra used to come, and Subhash Kak used to come. And in India, you could find, Guru Murthy was there, and many people, thinkers used to come and seek his advice on these matters. And so, in response to this, he started what is called the Acharya Sabha. Acharya Sabha means, see, if you look at Roman Catholic Church, okay, you have a pope. Then under the pope, you have cardinals. Under cardinals, you have archbishop. Then you have bishops. Then you have priests, and then you have Catholics. Okay, that is a pyramid structure. This religion is huge structure. It is like a corporation. Correct. One person is in the head, and there is the instructions are followed. Who should do what? Where the emphasis should be? What should be done? How much money should be spent? Where it should be spent? Everything is decided by the Pope sitting in Vatican. Vatican is a sovereign state, and they decide what happens in India. Only a country like India allows this to happen. Okay, allows a foreign country to decide what happens in India. And some fishermen, get into trouble in the coast of in the waters of India. We have to wait for Vatican to tell us what to do and who to do, because it's related to conversion and things like that. We don't respond, and so we have to just change our whole way of thinking. And so, thanks to Rajiv Malhotra, who has highlighted a lot of these problems, who has clarified it to many people, and and so that structure is there. All these religions have a structure. What about Hindu Dharma? No structure ledu, emi ledu. And the only structure that is there in India, it is called, and it is taken by the government. It's called Hindu Religious and Charitable Endowments. It's called, and then that structure and is used not to help our dharma, but is help. It is used for pilfering the money from our temples. Okay, that is the irony of this. Therefore, Swami started what is called the Acharya Sabha, and essentially involving, engaging with all the mathas. Mathas means institutions, religious institutions that are older than 200 years, and then bringing them into one group and saying, we have to raise our voice. We have to have one voice, one voice. And that's how this one voice of Hindus started. And so in the Acharya Sabha, he brought in all these issues. He brought in conversion, how they are working, and he had people presenting all these things. And then he said, we have to do what is called Ghar Wapsi. We have to do it. We cannot say, oh, Hindu, you left Christianity, therefore you are no longer a Hindu. You just let go of that idea. You have to embrace them. You have to bring them back. Anybody who wants to come back, do a Ghar Wapsi ritual and bring them back happily. Okay. And so he used to, in these 2-day programs, he used to have all these sessions. And he brought out the idea that textbook reform, and again this idea that the social studies textbooks are outright, especially in the US, outright anti-Hindu, anti-India. And those of you who worked on this know this very well. And so he got scholars to talk about these things in these conferences. And so he really just transformed the whole way the Hindu leaders should think about the country. Really, that's what he did. And so I've got just a minute left. I want to this thing came to my mind. He mentioned this. He said he was in a radio interview in the US. Somebody, one radio station host invited him, and he came there and then asked Swamiji various questions and all that. And Swamiji said this man was outright anti-India, and anything he said, he was putting India down. Nothing positive. And so he nothing happened. And then Swamiji himself asked a few questions for the audience, and then at the end he asked this question: why is India overpopulated? Okay, that is the question this host asked Swami. Okay, why is India? Now already he's been, he's not been a good host, and Swamiji was saying, he told us, he was saying, why should he ask me this question? What am I supposed an expert in population or what? Have I studied all these things, or how do I know why India is overpopulated? Many reasons are there. And so this man asked him. So now Swamiji said, I gave an answer which came like a bullet, and without batting my eyelid, I remember these words, okay, and I'm saying this. Without my batting my eyelid, I said this. I said, that is because we did not occupy North America, we did not occupy South America, we did not occupy Rhodesia, we did not occupy South Africa, we did not occupy Ethiopia, we did not occupy Falkland Islands, we did not occupy Australia, we did not occupy Philippines, we did not occupy India, we did not occupy Bangladesh, we did not occupy Pakistan. Now tell all these people to go back to Britain, then we will see which country is overpopulated. Okay, this is the response. Somehow that thing just stuck in my mind. It is still there, and so it tells us, it reveals to us a person who is very practical, who despite being such a scholar of Vedanta, even to use the word scholar is not right. We call him, scholars who have studied Vedanta call him Abhinava Shankara. Abhinava Shankara means today's Adi Shankaracharya is Swamiji. He knows it all. And Sanskrit means walking, Panini. He's Panini walking. Okay, that's how scholars call him. And for such a person, he comes down to the basics, and he talks about threats facing Hindu Dharma, threats facing humanity. One journalist asked him, Swami should not get involved in politics. Why are you guys talking like this? First of all, he said, where am I getting involved in politics? Huh? I'm a traditional teacher of Vedanta. But those who are in politics are not doing their duty. And therefore, it is my duty to tell them they're not doing their duty. Okay? That is not getting into politics. And you are supposed to highlight all these things. And so, like that, he responded in one interview. And so, this Swamiji was just practical, absolutely practical. And you could talk to him on any problem. Of course, we would approach him on our personal issues and things like that. But from a level of dharma, level of nation, level of the world, he made all kinds of contributions. I did not talk about Aim for Seva, All India Movement for Seva, and that's another thing he has done, and that was a big contribution. So like this, we have many things that he has done. But I thought today I would spend a few minutes, the 1 hour, talking about through some of his statements, what messages I got. And so after this session, I hope some of you can share your ideas as well. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Thank you.